Thank you for joining Startup Portal's Equity Crowdfunding Summer Series. This week's portal, Honeycomb Credit. Startup Portal does not receive commission by any stakeholder or crowdfunding portal. This presentation is strictly for informational purposes only. Each week in this series, we hope to take you through examples of equity crowdfunding launches. Regulation crowdfunding enables eligible companies to offer and sell securities through crowdfunding. Startup Portal's affordable process is to take you from plan to profit, from day one to year one, through cloud-based applications. We understand the requirements to raise capital. We know the value of successful entrepreneurs is not to prepare financials, so we design for growth. My name is Rick Leinbach. I'm a former CFO of small publicly traded companies and currently support dynamic companies looking to raise capital in crowdfunding. Today, we're going to take you through Honeycomb Credit. Honeycomb's business portal utilizes lending in lieu of equity, which is a little different than most equity crowdfunding companies. Honeycomb is based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Their model is for borrowers to utilize the community and their customers for crowdfunding. So in essence, setting it up that individuals who have a vested stake in you will be contributing to it. The range is up to about $250,000, and the rate is similar to other crowdfunding portals. So if you need to refinance, you need some inventory, product. In one case today, we're going to look at a company utilizing Honeycomb to sustain COVID-19, the shutdown of the coronavirus. So their platform allows loans to be secured, so they secure the assets of the borrower. Honeycomb acts as the collateral agent. So they help with the funding element where an investor, has one place to go to understand, anything regarding their loan. And payments to investors are made monthly, quarterly, however designed. One of the things that investors have is some limited rights, which I think are pretty good reasons for the companies. First of all, the borrower has the right of first refusal to buy the note back. So if I have a $1,000 note and I need to liquidate it, I have the ability to go back to the company and say, hey, would you buy my note back in lieu of selling it to someone else? So one thing that helps the company as well is if things don't work out and it goes in default, Honeycomb will appoint an administrative agent, which will allow the company to know that there's just one agent instead of, let's say, 100 investors that have their own agent or attorneys, et cetera. So that's some protections for the company. I really like that. And then the resale of the notes requires the company consent. In some regards, you want to protect yourself a bit to make sure that a collective amount of notes aren't being bought by, say, a competitor, et cetera. But not as concerned, and obviously this is debt, so therefore there's no voting rights involved. So let's look at a few of Honeycomb's deals that are either currently active or very close to completing. As you can see from the offering amounts, the range is $10,000 to $25,000 to $50,000. So that's their sweet spot. Interest rates are comparable, obviously higher than a traditional debt financing. However, certainly much less than, let's say, a high-rate credit card. And the purposes, they're looking for startup costs for retail, working capital, purchasing equipment. We'll look at the first one and two, Leavened and Skidmark, in a few minutes to discuss, sort of drill down on each of them a little bit. So fee-wise, Honeycomb, their fee is comparable with other portals. Obviously no equity involved, 8%, and there's some ancillary fees as well. Overall is comparable with other crowdfunding. The element here is that typically there's just a 5-year relationship where the funding is paid back over time. So let's get into looking at the first company, which is Leavened. They're based out of Cleveland, Ohio. Ian Harrington has 8+ years experience as a head baker, production manager. For starting up a business, and this will be a new business, I really like that. First of all, he has the ability to run the operation and overall understands what needs to be done. So certainly one of the elements with having a head baker, let's say, a friend of mine owns a restaurant, once said, hey, I have a bit of an advantage over others in the fact that I can cook. So having someone that can cook especially if you have, change in staff or you have illness, etc., really makes a pretty good experience for the operations overall, especially in new operations. Quite frankly, it's going to take many hours. So I like that Ian has that experience, without a doubt. Now, they're asking for $50,000, 11.5% interest, 6 months interest only, paid over really 5 years. The payments actually start at principal in the seventh month. And obviously they're closing today, June 22nd. So they're a bakery based in Cleveland, looking to open summer 2020. I hope so. However, with everything being delayed, you never know. So that's the beauty of equity crowdfunding. Use of funds. Obviously in their documents, they're talking about inventory, initial stock, and supplies. And I think they identified about 15,000. Working capital, hiring, trading, and rent to get operations going. And then one of the other elements noted in the filings, they're looking for $321,000 of additional equipment and furnishings. With that, you want to step back a little bit and really want to think about overall how you break it down. Personally, I would have broken it down a bit just for the fact that an operation for a bakery, yes, needs equipment, yes, needs furnishings. The 321, if you break it down in use of funds, especially if you're a company utilizing crowdfunding, you want to make sure you can have the reader understand that really it's going to take $50,000 to $100,000 to open up on top of the working capital from this loan. So just think about that as you're going through an evaluation of the crowdfunding, and really looking at, are there favorable type loans like SBA or other locations that may help you. So let's break down the numbers with regards to the debt agreement. As you can see, months 1 through 6 are interest only, $469 a month. And then obviously in month 7, you start the payment of principal and interest. And over the next 54 months, paying it back. So the company will kick out about $67,000. So one of the important elements here is to make sure the overall business operations sustain the payments. Now, other considerations of debt may factor in this case, if they're looking for $321,000, there likely will be another debt component. So just think about, if you're a company, just presenting that story is in the sense that, hey, we can take on 2 loans, and here's our monthly principal payments, and this is how we pay it over time. Obviously, collateral and security interests matter, so you want to be very careful in looking and setting up agreements that you have flexibility. Certainly, if there's an ability down the road to refinance at more favorable terms, you just want to be in position to do that. The nice thing about debt is that you can repay it and refinance it out. So, I like that in an equity crowdfunding, because you're doing good business, the shareholders have favorable rates, and it's not significantly long-term. So our next company, Skidmark Garage, Brian Shafram, essentially followed up on an idea he had many years ago. And when he came back to Cleveland, he put together a community garage where motorcyclists can share tools and space, and really it's a membership club. So Brian's looking to have $25,000 at a favorable interest rate early on, and then 8.5% interest for the remaining 30 months to help fund the operations. The company has been impacted from the coronavirus. Obviously, operations have been shuttered, and they're looking to pay the bills for rent, utilities, and operating cost. The nice thing about Skidmark is they do have revenue. So he has proven his model, and it's a location that has events as well. So in 19, the revenue was $53,000, in 18, $44,000. So one element here is obviously looking at sort of what their net income would be over that period of time, but also thinking about the new normal. With the coronavirus and the changes, what additional costs may occur for Skidmark that they have to cover as well. So I do sort of advise to make sure they factor that in for proceeds. But secondly, the element of crowdfunding fits very well here in that they can reach out to their current members. So members haven't been paying dues. However, this could be a good way to reach out to say, hey, can you help us as we continue forward? Hope you like our service, overall, and looking out to the community. So Skidmark is, basically trying to raise capital to help on a go-forward basis. So, does crowdfunding fit through Honeycomb? Honeycomb has a nice small biz lending platform. Their interest rates really are comparable for risk reward. So it's not a bank rate, but it's also not a high credit card rate. So I really like where the range is. And one of the elements for Honeycomb, as well as many of the other portals, is the SEC recently changed the rules with regards to helping companies up to that $250,000, where you may not have to get your financials in right away. You'll have to get them in, but it helps them get up and running and get out on the platforms. So Levin hopefully will achieve their fundraising for inventory working capital, and the experience of their founder is pretty good, so many hopefully successful in getting started. And then Skidmark really is looking to carry forward and get reopened. So overall platform, Honeycomb is a good fit for them. So with that said, I thank you. Feel free to reach out to us. Follow us on social media. We have a Facebook group for Equity Crowdfunding. We're focusing on helping companies. So please reach out, follow us, etc. Next week, 8 p.m., June 29th, we'll pick another portal, other companies. And obviously, if you have questions, feel free to reach out. And I thank you very much for attending today. And we'll continue to make progress here and bringing other portals through the summer. Thank you.